Joining us now is a member of the Budget Committee, Democratic Congressman Paul Tonko of New York. Welcome back to POTUS.
Thank you, Tim Farley. Always a pleasure to join you and your listeners.
Always glad to have you on board. All right, so I know that this is all a game of whether we're going to have an agreement by Friday, but is there really a number that has been discussed, or are you aware of a number?
Well, they were circulating the number of $33 billion late last week. And I know that, we have made every effort in our House as Democrats to work with the new majority and the Speaker. And the Constitution requires Congress to put forth the first issues, the spending issues, the budget. And basically the responsibility first falls on the House, which needs to introduce that measure. As we know, they've sent a bill over to the Senate. It was rejected. So I think we need to go forward here with a compromise. However, we will not compromise on jobs, going backward with jobs. We will not dull our economic competitiveness, and we won't burden the middle class. And so I think these are conditions that are very reasonable, Tim. And from my perspective, I think that the new Republican majority in the House of Representatives has a real struggle on its hands with the Tea Party element pulling them to the extreme and to a recklessness, and they're struggling with that and have not been able to produce a response since the original package was rejected by the Senate.
Can you clear up something for me on that? Can you clear up something for me on that? Because this is something we keep hearing Speaker Boehner say, and indeed in something that he sent out, which is a speaker alert, he says 43 days after the House passed H.R. 1, Senate Democrats still haven't passed a bill or offered a credible plan to cut spending and keep the government running. Time is running out. So did the Senate reject it, or did they just not act on H.R. 1?
They rejected the measure, and they have been working, as we have been working, in a bipartisan way, working with the White House also, to reach over to the executive branch to get something done here and bring closure. We do not want a shutdown of government. It would be harmful to the economy. But at the same time, we cannot go backward on job creation. We have realized 1.8 million new private sector jobs since last February. And every think tank is suggesting that the plan coming from the Republican majority in the House of Representatives would be job killing, as high as 700 to 800,000 predicted by some.
Again, Representative Paul Tonko is with us from New York, and he's a member of the Budget Committee. If Speaker Boehner wants to get something through, and as has been characterized by Senator Chuck Schumer and even Senator Reid, and you've used the word extreme also, and trying to hold off the extreme right wing of his party, are there Democrats in the House who are prepared to vote in favor of the agreement that has been discussed, even if it's something that may not be exactly what they want? In other words, can there be enough votes to get something passed that can get to the Senate?
Well, it's difficult until we see all of the details, Tim. I know that people are really very much focused on not having a government shutdown. But at the same time, the middle class cannot absorb the kind of brutal punishment with the reckless proposal they have offered. We reduce education. We deny children their opportunities in the classroom. They're essential to the growth of our economy. There are painful cuts to seniors, certainly to working families. There are cuts to energy, research and development. That while the rest of the world is bulking up with their investments, we're reducing our commitment. We're defunding. We're disinvesting. That is the wrong message. And again, to go backwards, to start a slippery slope on that slow and steady upward climb that we have had under the Obama administration after the Bush recession, where we lost 8.2 million jobs, to negate that or to reverse it would be totally wrong at this point in time.
Do you think there was a message in November at all about whether or not the government should be cutting its spending?
Well, I think there was anger because the middle class has been unnecessarily burdened with the payments of government. And we have, with the Republican majority, a propensity to support the wealthy, giving more tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires, helping big oil, helping big banks. They're putting, the priorities established by that conference are very telling. They remind us of just a very elitist approach. And ours is to reinforce the middle class, to underpin our economy, and continually invest in a clean energy and innovation economy.
You really believe, though, that after the Democrats had been in the majority in the last Congress, that the message in 2010 was anger at Republicans for letting the rich get away with something?
There was anger, I believe, about the cost, the price tag placed on the middle class, and that it was about jobs and the economy. People didn't think the economy was growing back quickly enough. It took a long time to fall into that deep pit with the Bush recession. However, I think what's important here is that people did not ask for this reckless sort of response where you saddled. They wanted jobs, and there hasn't been one jobs package presented in 12 weeks of this new session, not one jobs package. However, they have defunded healthcare reform, which means a lot of job growth that we have already seen is at risk. They have dismantled the Clean Air Act, which has been around for 40 years since President Nixon's time. They're all about defunding and disassembling rather than growing an economy that will be robust, vital, that needs investments to sharpen our competitiveness in the global market on clean energy and innovation. And they're putting that at risk and generations of American workers at risk.
Congressman, last question. You mentioned that nobody really wants a shutdown. Do both Republicans and Democrats want to have the next vote be on something that will make it all the way through the end of this fiscal year, or is there even room for another continuing resolution that doesn't take us to September 30th?
Well, I think the clock is ticking down, and we really need to bring closure to this. And I think the Republican majority in the House of Representatives needs to resolve its internal battles. It needs to suggest, I think, to those who want a reckless, extreme, insensitive response to the middle class that they have to step aside and, really swallow the pill here.
Congressman Paul Tonko from New York, thank you, as always, for being with us on POTUS today.
Oh, my pleasure, Tim. My best to you and your listeners.